sir. How's the day going so far, sir?
Well, I think we're seeing the day start. We're getting reports that some of our judges have had a little trouble opening their polling locations this morning, which is somewhat to be expected because there's 782 of our civilians, our friends and neighbors, who are called upon to perform some technical task as it relates to opening their machines at 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. So things are smoothing out a little bit. We were just here at this location saying hello to the presiding judge to see how things are going, and looks like he maybe has about 10, maybe 15 people in line. So I think as the day goes on, it'll get a little smoother and smoother, and we'll have an opportunity for all of our voters to cast their ballot and feel comfortable about the process.
We have reports of some places with machines not working. For example, at Denver Harbor Community Center, only 5 over 20 voting machines are working. What's going on there?
Well, as what we're seeing is there's a process as it relates to opening the voting machines and getting them set up properly. And sometimes if the proper steps aren't followed, then it may cause a couple of machines to go down. And our response is to send a technician out to those locations to get those machines back up online, and that's what we're doing. We have over 160 technicians in the field, and they're making their way around to different locations that's reported a problem, and we're getting those folks back online, and we're allowing the voters to vote. I think what's important to note is that if voters are standing in line at any one particular location, they can check our website, harrisvotes.com, to determine whether there's the next closest location and determine whether there's a line at any of those locations. And we're working with our staff to ensure that our election workers at every location is updating the wait times on our website so that the voters are seeing the wait times in real time.
How many people do you estimate vote in this county today?
Today it's too early to say because we've only been at it for about 2 hours, but I can say through early voting we voted over 750,000, and we're hoping to see at least 500,000 or so today.
And any recommendations for the voting?
So yes, we encourage our voters to come out, and if there's a line, we encourage them to be patient, come out prepared, knowing who they're going to cast their vote for. We've seen voters down at NRG and at some of the other locations that are prepared, and once they step into the machine, they're able to cast their vote confidently and with the expediency, and then they're on through the rest of the day. So we ask for their patience. If they see something that they don't feel comfortable with, they certainly can reach out to the party. The parties are calling us. The EA's office, we're responding to any incidents that we receive from the field, and we hope to see that as we hit the 10 o'clock hour that we're going to have things smoothed out, and it'll be a good day for all of our voters.
There's also word that because the schools were closed yesterday for the parade and everything like that, some poll workers weren't able to have access to those buildings. What can you say about that? Have those been rectified? What's going on?
It has. Once we heard that schools were going to be closed for the Astros parade, we contacted those facility managers right away and said, hey, you've got to allow our workers to get in on Monday to set up their voting machines. And the school superintendents made arrangements for those workers to meet their staff, to have their staff come back in. Of course, because the schools were closed, they gave the staff the days off. And so the judges were able to make arrangements with those locations to get in to set their polling locations up late in the evening on Monday. And some of them, of course, had to wait and set up this morning. We weren't excited about that, but we understand what happened there. And as I understand it, there may have been 1 or 2 locations that we had to make some phone calls this morning to make sure the judge could get in at 6 a.m. And I understand that was taken care of.
Also, Sunnyside, they're running into difficulties with the voting machines breaking down, and it's a predominantly African-American community. What can you say? Are you guys rectifying that situation?
Well,
What's going on there?
at Sunnyside, we love our judge at Sunnyside, and we understand what has happened there. That was not a machine failure. The election was inadvertently closed. And once the election is closed, they can't open those machines back up. So we had to send new machines, new controllers to that location. And we've got new machines, new controllers to that location, and the voting process has started back up. So that wasn't a machine malfunction. That was simply a user error.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
And then lastly, there also that the state mandated poll watchers. What's your thought about the poll watchers, and does that worry you about voter intimidation?
No, well, we certainly understand the function that a poll watcher serves as it relates to whether they're poll watchers from the parties or from candidates or from the state. The state sends monitors. We welcome the state monitors. I understand that the DOJ is on the ground today with monitors as well. We welcome all monitors because what the monitors do is they help us improve the process. They're going to take notes. They're going to give us feedback on what they saw was right, what they saw was not right, and of course then we address the things that were not right. So we look forward to their responses from them so that we can improve the process. So we're glad they're here. We understand that they're not interfering with the process. They're simply taking notes, and we're okay with that.
Also, I came from West Gray, and usually it's a pretty quick and easy process to go in and out. But there's literally two football lengths of people standing outside waiting. They've been waiting since 6 a.m. and some of the machines are down temporarily. But what can you say with what happened? How many machines went down?
So I know that we have technicians at West Gray. I don't know exactly what occurred at West Gray to cause the long lines, but West Gray is one of the biggest locations that we have through early voting as well as Election Day. And I just need to assess what took place there and then make adjustments so that we don't see that happen again. During early voting, we saw that the process went very well at West Gray. So I'm not quite sure what happened this morning that would cause that to be a different experience for our voters.
And there's technicians on the ground
that
for
is
that
correct.
site?
Yes, there are technicians on the ground at that
And you
site.
probably just keep us, probably send out a presser later about that location.
I suspect we'll communicate, especially to the parties and to the Secretary of State's office, as to what we found at West Gray, and we'll make sure that everyone's aware.
For voters going at peak times to vote, what's your biggest advice to them?
Well, I think they should be prepared, and they should understand that if it's a peak time, there's going to be a little wait. As long as we get our technical issues smoothed out, which I understand we are doing, then they'll just experience a little bit of wait, but they'll be able to cast their vote and know that it's counted.
Okay, and at the Baker Ripley Voting Center, the assistant election judge says he was supposed to bring a key to open the site at 5:30, but never did. Is it still not going to open?
No, Baker Ripley is open as we speak. We have technicians, we have supplies that were delivered there. Apparently there was some sort of miscommunication between the judge and the supply delivery, which included a key to open the machine. So that's an issue that we can't afford that, but that's what we experienced. And we're hoping that those voters that didn't wait in line went to another location. And of course, I'd like to remind all of our voters that we have 782 locations. They can go to any location to cast a ballot. They don't have to stand in line at any one particular location. And we encourage them to take a look at the next closest location and make a move to that location to avoid standing in line. We have countywide voting, so if folks weren't able to cast a ballot at Ripley, there were locations around that location that they could have accessed, and we encourage our voters to do that.
We've got time for about one more, and then we got to hit the road.
No, I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yay.
Thanks.